Hi guys, I hope you're all well. In this video I want to discuss, are you overwhelmed with the thought of tracking your food intake? If you've experimented with tracking your calories and protein, carbohydrates and fats, or you're considering doing this, you may be a little bit overwhelmed because there can be a lot to take in. It sounds complex, or you may have tried this but you've been unsuccessful. I want to give you a more simpler approach to apply if you're in a fat loss phase. It's more relevant that within a fat loss phase than a muscle building phase, so therefore we'll be focusing on that within this video. So instead of focusing on each individual macronutrient, so protein, carb, fats and also calories, instead of doing that, it's really important to note that within the fat loss phase, the two most important factors are the protein intake and the daily calorie figure. So protein to preserve lean muscle mass, and then calories set to a position where you can lose approximately 0.5 to 1% weight loss per week. So those are the two important ingredients, and therefore when it comes to tracking, focusing on just those two factors makes it so much simpler as opposed to trying to track carbohydrates, fats, protein and calories. Now keep in mind, the only thing I would say is it is important to have your protein intake at least 20% of total calories or above, just because fats are essential for the body. They're important for hormone production. So that's one caveat to this. But once you have that 20% in place, the carb to fat ratio does not matter within the context of the fat loss phase. So therefore, focusing on protein, the daily calorie figures will really make things that much simpler when it comes to tracking. The other important point to make is if you are struggling with tracking your food intake, instead of just tracking each individual meal, what I suggest to a lot of my clients, and this is what I do personally, instead of micromanaging each meal, my suggestion is to basically consume foods as the day goes along, input these foods into MyFitnessPal, and then prior to your last meal, look on MyFitnessPal and just see what you're short of, what protein and calories you're short of, and then simply create a meal to make up the net difference of these two targets, the protein and calorie figures. And therefore you're not actually micromanaging each meal, you're just basically focusing on the daily total. You're only really micromanaging that last meal, and then throughout the day you're eating sensibly. You're still inputting into MyFitnessPal, but you're not having to consciously work out exactly what you should be eating. So I hope that's been useful. Two things: focus on protein and calories within the fat loss phase, also making sure that fats are approximately 20% or above. Once you have that in place, let your personal preference dictate the carb to fat ratio. And then in addition to that, instead of micromanaging each meal, just simply use the last meal of the day, it could be a snack meal or your main meal, to make up the net difference of those daily totals. Because keep in mind, it's the daily totals that's the most important factor. It doesn't matter whether if one meal has got more calories than the other, it's all about the daily totals within the context of a fat loss phase. So hopefully that's been useful. Like the video if you've enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Take care.